the philosophy contained in the Heart Sutra is profound. One word represents a lot of meaning in it, and we have been exploring it for a few weeks already, and we're still hoovering around the explanation of the title. When we talk about a heart, in the Heart Sutra, we talk about heart. It's a metaphor, or it's a simile, or more or less a metaphor, meaning the mind. When you think, you don't think with the heart. You think with the mind. So it's the mind that we are talking about. So when people say, I give you my heartfelt condolences, my heartfelt feeling, my heartfelt sensation, that means the mind. So whenever you come across the word Heart Sutra, it means the mind. So in Heart Sutra, if we do a quick review, heart is Hridaya in the Sanskrit language. Hridaya is the heart, which means the mind. And there's really the physical heart, which is the flesh and blood heart inside of you, the pumping station of the blood in your body. And there's also another meaning, is a sense center consciousness. Your eye, your nose, your ear, your tongue, your body, your touch, that's also part of the mind because that's your sensual organs. Then the mind also refers to the ego consciousness, which is the manas. Now in sense center, of course, there are 6 senses that we already have reviewed. The eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and then there's also a very important one, the mano consciousness, the 6th consciousness. And then the 7th consciousness is the ego consciousness, which is also part of the mind. So that's called manas vijnana in the Sanskrit language. And the 4th is, of course, the store consciousness, which is also called alaya vijnana, which is the 8th consciousness. So we know that the mind actually contains not just the mind. The Buddha said the mind contains 8 consciousnesses. And you really have to know each one of them. We already have explained in detail. Very few people know that all this mind, or whatever you call it, heart, is the false mind. That's not the real mind. All these 8 consciousnesses pertain not to the true mind, it's to the false, polluted mind. You and I, we've been using our polluted mind to think, our polluted mind to react, to interact with whatever objects come up. We haven't been using the true mind. We've been using the polluted, interactive mind. So actually, we have what we call the false mind and the true mind. Some newcomers may have a question in their mind. Why do I have to know this? That's what the Buddha is talking about. When you come to study or to research on or to investigate on what the Buddha is talking about, the Buddha is not talking about blind faith. The Buddha is not talking about worshipping. The Buddha is talking about the study of your own mind. Do you know yourself? You have to study your own mind. You have to know what your own mind is doing. You have to be responsible for your own mind. And you may question and say, of course I'm responsible for my own mind. I'm the master of my own mind. If you are really the controller of your own mind, how come you get greedy? How come you get jealous? How come you get depressive state of mind? How come you get arrogance? How come you have done all these mind? How come you believe in or you act according to the mind that radiates all of these mental afflictions if you're in control? So the Buddha said we have been using the false mind, and there's really the true mind that we should be revealing, the true mind. The Buddha taught us how to reveal our true mind, how to function our pure mind and not our polluted mind. The false mind related to the senses. We're always looking for sensual pleasures to satisfy the false polluted mind. We're always in pursuit of sensual pleasures. Our mind interacts with our surrounding, and brought forward body, speech, and mind karma. Body karma. What does it produce? Behavior, actions. We have actions accordingly, and actions is classified into good actions, bad actions, and neutral actions. We have been doing speech. We express all these mindfulness in body, speech, and thought. And we interact with objects, which has no substantiality, because the object itself has no real nature. Why? Because it's dependent on causation, dependent on causes, and that's the philosophy of causation that we've been talking about for a while. Today's a little review to start with, and the force mind is always characterized by duality, which means discrimination. You always discriminate, you always differentiate, good and bad, love and hatred. We always live in a world of duality. We either hate or love, rich and poor, tall and short. We always discriminate. But the true mind are detached from all these. And we already explained it in detail. The Heart Sutra is exposing all the knowledge about your force mind, our polluted mind, with the aim of revealing our true mind. How do we reveal our true mind? How do we function our true mind? We really have to learn what is our mind first, what is our force mind first. So be mindful. That's the whole objective of meditation, be mindful. The true mind has a variety of words to it. So you may encounter different words in different sutras, the Buddhist teaching express the true mind in many, many ways. The true mind in the Diamond Sutra is referred to as Dhammatta. In Nirvana Sutra is Buddhatta. That's the true mind. In Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment, it calls the true mind Dharani. In Surangama Sutra, it calls the true mind Eternal Truth Mind. Very direct. In the Heart Sutra, it's called Sarvasunyata. In Avantam Sutra, the true mind is referred to as Dhammadhatu, which is more or less in line with the word Dhammatta. In Sramana Sutra, it is referred to as Dharagata Gritha. So, all different names, but it's pinpointing towards one meaning, that's the true mind. So when you say Buddhatta, the Buddha, what's the meaning of the Buddha? The one who's awakened from the force mind and have totally revealed his true mind. So that's the Buddha. And completely enlightened with the pure, unpolluted mind. In a sutra, Surangama Sutra says, the top is the Chinese language. 楞严经说，一切众生从无始来，生死相续，皆有不自常住真心性净明体，用诸妄想，其想不真，故有轮转。The following is the translation of that sutra. Surangama says, all living things, all living sentient beings, since the time without beginning, since timeless beginning, have been subject continuously to birth and death. You and I, we are rolled into samsara. You were born again in the next life, taking another form, going through the cycle of birth and death, because they do not realize, because we do not realize, the permanent true mind, whose substance is by nature pure and bright. They have relied on force mind, which is not true, so that the wheel of samsara turns, because we've been using the force mind all the time. Poor we've been using the force mind all the time, committing all kinds of karma. We don't even know about it. And because of the karma that we committed, we produce, we couldn't get away from cause and effect. You reap what you sowed. So with whatever we have done, with the karmic energy in us, we roll into the next life according to our karmic energy. Buddhism is nothing but the study of the mind, and we call that the heart, the study of your heart, or the study of your mind. In explaining consciousness, last but not least, before we explain the word Sutra, when we talk about our own consciousness, there are 4 interdependent functions in every one of our consciousness. In the eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness. In every one of our consciousness, there are 4 functions to it that we have to remember. Otherwise, you cannot study consciousness because you got to know all this terminology. The first one is the object or the seen portion, the object. In the Chinese language, 相分, the object or the seen portion. When my eyes look at you, you are the seen portion of my eye consciousness. When my eyes look at you, you are the object of my eye consciousness. When my ears listen to you, your sound is the object of the heard portion of my ear consciousness. When my nose smell fragrance, the fragrance is the object or the smell portion of my nose consciousness. When my tongue tastes food, the food is the object, and my taste buds is tasting the object. So every consciousness has an object to it, or the seen portion, or the perceived portion, the smell portion. The second is the subjective, or the seeing portion, the subjective, 见分, the subjective. You're the subject. Your eyes is the subject of the object, the seen portion. Your ear is the subject of the perceived, of the heard portion. So there's a subject and there's an object. Why is this important? We're analyzing, the Buddha told us to analyze every part of our consciousness. When you understand your own consciousness, when you understand your own mind, the power comes. You may not know about it. That's the reason why in North America they have the positive thinkers. They say the mind is the most powerful. But they only talk about it. They're only motivating you by saying the mind is the most powerful. The Buddha goes in depth into why the mind is powerful, how to reveal the power in your mind, how to get that power working for you, not towards acquisition of material, but towards the saintly path of an awakening, the saintly path of nirvana, the saintly path of enlightenment, not towards further acquisitions. Positive thinkers may motivate your mind to want, to acquire more material, more wealth, more money. But the Buddha said happiness, joy is not from acquisition. As a matter of fact, every acquisition deprives you a little bit of your freedom, increase you a little bit of your suffering. You think you acquire more? The more you acquire, the happier you are. Actually, the more you acquire, the less freedom of mind you have, the more suffering that will induce unto you. We don't even realize it because we're using our mind to acquire. What is that mind that we use to acquire? What is that mind we use to enjoy parties, getting to know friends, socializing with friends, getting more wealth? That part of the mind is the force mind that occupies your time away from the revelation of your true mind. So in other words, the more you're involved with acquisition of wealth, the less time you have for purification of the mind, of your own mind. In the study of consciousness, you have to know your subject, you have to know your object. When you know your object, you identify your object. When you identify your object, then you know who is the enemy of your sensuality that has always been attracting you, enticing you, mesmerizing you to commit bad karma. So you have the object, the subjective, and the third is the self-witnessing portion. What is this self-witnessing portion? Who will know the subject has seen the object? Your eyes see an object. Your eyes is only a seeing function. You think your eyes are always committing the right thing? You have to stand behind your eyes to look at your eyes consciousness. In other words, you always have to be a third person. Don't get involved with the subject and the object. You always have to step back and say, is the subject perceiving something real? When the subject is discriminating on someone with hatred, with anger, then that self-witnessing portion, if it is pure, would stand back and say, hey, are you discriminating? There's always a self-witnessing portion on the purity side. There's also a self-witnessing portion on the wrong side. That is your mano, the manager, your mind manager. Your mind manager assess. When your eyes look at John, and then the self-witnessing portion would say, hey, here comes John, and that guy is bad. He ripped you off of something. Get even with him. You're going to do the same thing to him. Because you then add something onto the subject. You stand back as a third person, but you're influencing your subject to do wrong things. So there's a self-witnessing portion. Who will know the subject has seen the object? The re-witnessing portion. After this interaction, there is also the ego that comes up to you. The protection of your own identity, the protection of your ego. And you store that egoistic feeling into your field, your memory. Your hatred will stay there. Your seed of hatred, your seed of anger, your seed of greediness, your seed of jealousy. So all these four portions, every consciousness, every interaction has this involvement of four functions in it. You may not realize it. The Buddhist told us to realize it by first training yourself in meditation. Know your mind. Detach yourself from it. Be mindful. Learning your breath, taking as a third person, looking at things. Stay away from the scenes. Don't get involved in the scenes. Just step back and look at it with reality. Look at it with purity. Look at it with the pure analysis. Look at it with enlightenment. And I can give you a further example. For example, that's about an explanation on the polluted mind. A sheet of paper is the object. The subjective is the measuring instrument to measure it. So you have a tape measuring an object. So the object, for example, the table is the object. And then your tape is the subjective. And then the self-witnessing function cognize how long and how wide. It has a cognitive dimensions in the measuring. So that is a self-witnessing. And there's a re-witnessing function. Recognize, is it accurate? Is my tape accurate? Is the table accurate? There's a self-re-witnessing portion to it. Why do we have to know these things? Because you have to know your own mind in detail. Not just talking about positive thinking. You have to get deep into what is positive thinking. What is thinking? What is the mind? The Heart Sutra explore deeper and deeper and deeper in the study of your own mind so that you know yourself, you know what you're interacting with, you review the mystic power of your mind, not for further pursuit of material, not for further pursuit of sensual pleasures, but for the pursuit of purity, of one-pointedness of mind, of nirvana, of enlightenment. You go onto the saintly path, not getting onto this sentient being's path of samsara and life and death. I still haven't explained the word sutra yet. So I've been using how many weeks? 6 weeks, 7 weeks, just to explain the title. I've finished Prajna Paramita Hridaya, and I intend to finish the word sutra, but I thought you ought to know these four functions, because these four functions help you to analyze every interaction you have. What is my subject doing now? What is the object? What is my re-witnessing function doing? If my re-witnessing function doing a job that is Striving towards purity or striving towards impurity? Striving towards enlightenment or striving towards jealousy, hatred, greediness? So we got to know ourselves. You have to understand yourself before you can achieve an enlightenment of yourself. Before you can achieve enlightenment of all the others.